I sat beside Nammin's bed, my mind still spinning, Max syndrome, a few years left, and that letter to Tayong. It felt like I had been dropped into a story I didn't want to be part of. He looked tired but calm, fingers tracing the edges of his blanket. I finally spoke. So what now, Nammin? What are you planning to do? He was quiet for a few seconds, sinking further into his bed, then sighed. There's a clinical trial going on abroad, he said, his voice steady but soft. It's an experimental treatment for Max syndrome. I'm on the waiting list. And if they pick me, then I'll go, he said, his lips curling slightly. Maybe I'll finally get cured, or at least get a few more years. I forced a small smile, trying to sound hopeful for him even though I felt anything but. That's great, Nammin. You deserve that chance. He nodded but didn't look at me. I hesitated before asking, but what about him? Nammin blinked. What? Tayong, I said, leaning forward. Are you just going to keep pretending like he doesn't mean anything to you? He doesn't even know you're the one who wrote that letter. Nammin's expression tightened. Jihoon, please. No, listen. I cut him off gently but firmly. It's unfair. He's out there, thanking me on live television for something you did. He thinks I gave him courage, but it was you. He's misplacing his feelings, thinking I'm the one who mattered when all this time, it was you. He rubbed his temples, clearly frustrated. It doesn't matter anymore. The hell it doesn't. I snapped before I could stop myself. He should know the truth. Nammin looked at me then. His eyes were a mixture of exhaustion and something else. Fear. Maybe. Jihoon, he said softly. I don't even know if I'll be alive long enough for any of that to matter. So please, just drop it. Okay? That silence after his words was heavy, painful. But I couldn't. I wasn't the kind of person to drop things, especially not when I saw him giving up on something that clearly still burned inside him. I reached into his dresser and pulled out a small, worn notebook, his old songbook. Then what about this? I said. Remember this? You used to fill every page with lyrics and melodies. You said you wanted to be a songwriter, maybe even a producer someday. He froze when he saw it. His eyes softened just for a second before he looked away. That was a long time ago. Maybe, I said. But that dream didn't die just because you got sick. You have talent, Nammin. If you can't tell Tayong how you feel, at least don't give up on what connects you to him. You could still work with him someday. Write for him. That would mean something, wouldn't it? He shook his head, his tone growing sharper. No, Jihoon. I said drop it. Why? You won't even regret it. I won't, he said flatly. But I saw the way his hands clenched into fists, how his jaw tightened like he was holding back everything he really wanted to say. I leaned back slowly, studying him. You're lying, I murmured. He didn't answer. He just stared at the ceiling, blinking hard, like he was fighting to hold something in. I didn't push him anymore after that. I just sat there in silence, watching my best friend hide behind that calm, careful voice, while every line of his face screamed the truth he refused to say out loud. The next day, school felt unusually bright. Posters of V6X were everywhere. Students whispering about Tayong's debut like he had single-handedly carried the entire entertainment industry on his back. I was sitting on a bench in the school courtyard when Tayong showed up, wearing his signature grin. Hey! I greeted, standing to meet him. Congrats on your debut, superstar. He chuckled and gave a playful wink. Thanks. We're just getting started. Once our album drops, you won't even be able to walk down this campus without hearing my voice blaring from someone's phone. I laughed lightly. You sound very sure of yourself. Confidence is key, he said, brushing invisible dust off his jacket. But I won't be around to remind everyone how amazing I am. I already requested a leave from school for a month. Promo tours, interviews, music shows. He looked proud, but beneath the arrogance, I sensed exhaustion too. Maybe debuting wasn't all glamour. I nodded, meaning it. You deserve it, Tayong. You worked hard for this. He smiled, softer this time. Thanks, Jihoon. Then, His eyes flicked past me and landed on something behind my shoulder. I followed his gaze and froze when I realized he was looking at Minjae. Minjae was across the court, pretending to scroll through his phone, but his eyes, subtle yet sharp, were very obviously watching us. Tayong smirked. "So, what's going on with you and him?" I blinked. "What? You and Minjae?" he repeated, teasingly drawing out the words. "I've seen you two hanging out lately. Don't tell me there's something really going on." I rolled my eyes, trying to sound casual. "There's nothing going on. We're just trying to get along better." He raised an eyebrow, unconvinced but amused. "Right? Trying to get along." He nudged me playfully. "Well, just so you know, I'm still in the running for your heart. So if you're thinking of getting together with my competition, I might have to step up my game." I snorted. "You're unbelievable." "I'm serious," he said, grinning wider. "I've got stage presence and abs. What does Minjae have?" "Brains," I said dryly. He laughed. But then, I got serious as the thought of Nammin crossed my mind. "Tayong, can I ask you a favor?" Tayong smiled. "For you? Anything." I hesitated, trying to measure my words carefully. "It's about Nammin." Tayong's smile faded a little, his tone shifting. "Nammin?" "Yeah," I said. "He's been struggling. I don't think he's been okay mentally. I was wondering if maybe..." He swallowed hard, then continued. "If maybe he could work for your company temporarily. He's a talented songwriter, and it might help him heal, being part of something positive." Tayong looked taken aback. "Work at my company? But wouldn't he be missing school? Is this his idea?" I shook my head quickly. "No, it's mine." There was a flicker of something emotional in his eyes. Guilt, sadness, maybe both. "He's been depressed for a while now," I added softly. "It's the reason he's been gone from school. I think this could help him." For a moment, Tayong didn't say anything. His usual charm faltered, replaced by something gentler, concern. He rubbed the back of his neck, sighing. "That's a lot to take in. I didn't know he was struggling like that." "He hides it well," I said. "But I'm really worried about him." There was a long pause before Tayong nodded slowly. "All right, I'll talk to my manager. If it's possible, I'll make sure he gets in. Maybe being around music will do him good." My heart softened with gratitude. "Thanks, Tayong." "Don't mention it," Tayong said, flashing a small smile. But as Tayong walked away, his face darkened slightly. He didn't say it out loud, but something in him stirred. A quiet unease he couldn't name. He had always been the type to brush things off, to not care about little distractions. But for some reason, the mention of Nammin's name lingered in his head longer than it should have. Even as he left the school gates, slipping on his headphones and humming the draft for his new single, he found himself wondering, why does it bother me this much that Nammin's not okay? Minjae caught up with me just outside the school gate, his tone already sharp with suspicion. "What were you talking about with Tayong?" he asked, walking beside me but not looking at me directly. His jaw was tight, and I could feel the tension radiating off him. I blinked, taken aback by his tone. "What do you mean?" He gave me a look. "Don't play dumb, Jihoon. I saw you two earlier. You were talking for a while." There was a flicker of something, jealousy maybe, in his voice, and for some reason, it made my heart skip. I wanted to smile, but I didn't. "It's nothing," I said quietly. "Don't mind it." "Nothing?" He raised an eyebrow. "You looked pretty serious for it to be nothing." I sighed. "It's about Nammin. I was just asking Tayong for a favor. That's all." "Oh." His tone softened, and I could tell he regretted snapping. There was a brief silence between us before I asked, "Are you ready for tonight?" Minjae's lips curved into a faint smirk. "Yeah, I've gone over the plan about 10 times in my head." "You sure it's going to rain?" I nodded confidently. "The weather forecast says it will, and it has to." He chuckled. "You sound like some mastermind villain." I grinned. "Just make sure you look convincing when we're acting in front of my mom. If she even suspects we planned this, the whole thing's ruined." Minjae placed his hand over his chest in mock seriousness. Don't worry, I'll give an Oscar-worthy performance. I laughed softly, shaking my head. You'd better. We started walking home together, the air between us lighter than it had been all week. Every so often, our shoulders brushed, and I found myself glancing at him more than I should have. As we turned the corner out of the school compound, neither of us noticed a pair of sharp eyes following our every move. From the balcony near the gym, Hannah watched, her arms folded and expression unreadable. Her glossy ponytail swung slightly in the breeze as she tilted her head. "Who's that?" she asked, her voice cold but curious. Her friend, standing beside her, leaned forward. "That's Jihoon. You don't know him?" Hannah frowned. "I've seen him around, but not with Minjae." Her friend let out a small laugh. "That's because they're enemies. Everyone knows they've been rivals since forever. Academics, sports, everything. It's weird seeing them together like that." Hannah narrowed her eyes, watching as Jihoon nudged Minjae playfully, and the two shared a small laugh. Something about it didn't sit right with her. "They looked comfortable," she muttered, tapping her fingers against the railing. Her friend shrugged. "Yeah, like old friends. Or more," Hannah said under her breath, a strange expression crossing her face.
That evening, the sky was already heavy with dark clouds when I and Minjae finally reached our neighborhood. The air smelled like wet soil and electricity, and sure enough, a few seconds later, the first drops of rain began to fall. We exchanged a quick glance, our silent cue. I gave Minjae a little nod before hurrying toward my house, while Minjae took his place outside his, pretending to fumble with his keys. Within minutes, the drizzle turned into a downpour. Inside, my mother called out the moment I stepped in. "Jihoon, you're drenched. Hurry and dry off before you catch a cold." I tried to catch my breath and compose myself. "Mom," I began carefully. Minjae's outside. "He got caught in the rain too, and I think he lost his house key." My mother barely looked up from folding laundry. "Oh, that's unfortunate. He's soaked," I pressed, trying to sound casual but worried. "Shouldn't we at least?" She waved a dismissive hand. "He can stay at a friend's place or go to his relatives. He'll be fine." I froze. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. My plan depended on her sympathy, but she wasn't taking the bait. "Right," I muttered, forcing a small smile before retreating. Once inside, I changed into fresh clothes and rushed to the window and peered through the rain-streaked glass. Minjae was still out there, standing like a half-drowned cat, shivering under the downpour. I frowned, my stomach twisting with guilt. Maybe this plan wasn't as fun as I'd thought. I grabbed my phone and called him. He answered almost immediately, his voice shaky from the cold. "Hey, Minjae, are you okay?" I asked, pacing near the window. "You look like you're about to pass out." "I'm fine," he said, forcing a laugh. "Don't worry. It's just rain. I'll wait a bit longer. Maybe we should just..." "Jihoon," he cut me off softly. "It's okay. Just trust me, all right?" There was a pause on the other end, and for a moment, neither of us said anything. Only the sound of the rain filled the silence. Then, out of nowhere, I saw movement from the corner of my eye. My mother was passing by my door with an umbrella in hand. My heart skipped. "Mom." She stopped. "I'll be back in a minute," she said simply, stepping outside before I could say another word. I rushed back to the window, my eyes widening as I watched her cross the street. She held the umbrella over Minjae's head, saying something I couldn't hear through the glass. He looked startled at first, but then nodded, his lips moving as he explained something. After a moment, she gestured toward our house, and Minjae followed her in. A few minutes later, the front door opened, and there he was, soaked but smiling faintly. My mother turned to me with her usual calm expression. "Minjae will be staying with us tonight," she said. "Apparently, his house key is missing. You two can share a room, but I expect you to behave and not make a mess." "Understood." My mouth fell open a little. "Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks, Mom." She gave a small nod. "Dinner will be ready soon." Then she disappeared into the kitchen. The moment she was gone, I turned to Minjae, whispering urgently, "What happened? What did you say to her?" He laughed quietly. "I didn't even have to say much. She's not at all how my mom described her. You know, she's actually really nice." I blinked. "Really?" "Yeah," he said, smiling a little. She asked if I had anywhere to stay, and I told her I didn't have close friends nearby and that my dad lives far away. She looked so worried, Jihoon. Next thing I know, she said I could stay here until she helped me get my door open. I couldn't help the grin that spread across his face. See? I told you she's not that harsh. She just hides it well. Outside, the rain kept falling steadily against the windows. Jihoon led me up the narrow staircase to his room, the air still damp with the scent of rain. His house felt warm, comfortable, like a real home, smelling faintly of dinner cooking and laundry detergent. When he pushed open his bedroom door, I stepped inside and instantly started looking around. His room was tidy but lived in. Books stacked neatly by the desk, a few scattered pens, and a shelf full of comic books and academic trophies. It was very him. I bent down a little, trying to peek at one of his books, when his voice came sharp behind me. Hey, don't poke around my stuff. I turned around with an innocent grin. I'm just looking, geez. Didn't know you were so secretive. He gave me that serious Jihoon look, the one that could silence a whole classroom. I mean it, Minjae. Just stay out of my things and mind your business, okay? I nodded my head in surrender, still smiling. Fine. I'll behave. But before I could tease him further, a sudden tickle in my nose made me sneeze. Once, twice, then again. Jihoon's expression instantly shifted from annoyed to worried. You're catching a cold, he said, moving closer. Without another word, he grabbed a clean towel from his closet and stepped right in front of me. Hold still, he muttered, his voice softer now. He started drying my hair with the towel, gentle, careful. The warmth from his hands and the closeness of his face made my chest tighten unexpectedly. I looked up at him, and that's when I noticed his eyes had softened, his breath hitching slightly. For a moment, neither of us moved. The air between us grew still, heavy. His fingers brushed against my cheek as he adjusted the towel, and I felt something stir, something strange and familiar all at once. The world seemed to narrow to just us. For a second, I lost my sense of control, and he started leaning closer. Then, dinner's ready, his mother's voice echoed from downstairs. We both jumped apart like we'd been caught committing a crime. Jihoon's ears turned bright red. He scratched his neck awkwardly, avoiding my gaze. You can, change into any of my clothes. The closet's open. Just whatever fits. Thanks, I murmured, still trying to catch my breath. He nodded quickly, then practically bolted for the door. I'll be downstairs, he called out, voice cracking slightly as he disappeared down the hall. Dinner was surprisingly lively. The moment I took a bite of the food, I froze, then groaned in delight. Oh my God, I mumbled. This is amazing. Jihoon's mother blinked, clearly taken aback. Then a small, pleased smile tugged at her lips. Really? You like it that much? Like it? I said, grinning wide. This is the best thing I've eaten all month. She laughed softly, a hint of pink coloring her cheeks. Well then, eat more, she said. Jihoon watched the exchange, half amused. Don't let her fool you, he said, smirking a little. My mom's a renowned chef. She's cooked for restaurants and celebrities before. My eyes widened. Seriously? You're joking. Nope, he said proudly. That's why everyone calls her the Iron Lady of Seoul cuisine. His mom shot him a look, half flattered, half embarrassed. Oh, stop exaggerating. Then she turned to me, her tone softening. You don't eat home-cooked meals often? My smile faltered. I stared at the food for a second. Not really, I said quietly. My mom's always busy. Work, meetings, travel. There's not much time for stuff like this. Jihoon's mother frowned. Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something sharp, but she caught herself. After a brief pause, she exhaled and said gently, Well, you can come here anytime if you want a proper meal. No one should have to eat alone. My throat tightened, and I managed a small smile. Thank you. But before I could say more, I sneezed again, loud enough to make both of them flinch. Jihoon's mother gasped. You're still sneezing? She stood up immediately, fussing like a worried ant. Oh dear, you must have caught a cold. Wait here. She returned moments later with cold medicine and a warm towel, pressing them into my hands. Here, take this. And after dinner, you're going straight to bed, understood? I nodded sheepishly. Yes, ma'am. Jihoon watched all this with wide eyes, clearly trying not to laugh. He leaned closer and whispered, Wow, she's treating you better than she treats me. I chuckled, sniffling. Guess I'm just more charming. He rolled his eyes but smiled, and I swear, it was the most beautiful thing I had seen in a while. That night, I stood by the bed, watching Minjae sniffle his nose while trying to make himself comfortable on the floor with a blanket. I sighed. "You're seriously going to sleep down there?" He turned to me, eyes barely open. "You said I shouldn't poke around your stuff, so I figured sleeping here counts as poking around too." I groaned, ruffling my hair. "You're impossible." He grinned weakly. "You say that a lot." I hesitated for a moment, glancing between the empty space beside me and the way he kept shivering. The rain outside had turned heavier, the air cooler. With a resigned breath, I laid on the bed and lifted the blanket. "Just get up here," I muttered. "You're going to freeze to death, idiot." His face brightened immediately. "You sure?" "No," I said flatly, "but do it anyway." He chuckled softly, climbing onto the bed beside me. We lay there, side by side, both of us staring at the ceiling for a moment as the rain drummed softly against the window. After a while, I turned slightly toward him. "You know," I murmured, "I still can't believe we're sharing a bed like this." He smiled faintly. "Yeah, it's weird, huh?" "A little," I admitted. "But it's kind of nice too. Not fighting for once. Not trying to outdo each other," he added. "Exactly." We looked at each other. For once, there was no glare, no competition. Just something warm and unspoken between us. "I guess it feels good," I said quietly, "to be like this." "Yeah, it really does." A small smile tugged at my lips. "Good night, Minjae." "Good night, Jihoon." And then slowly, the tension in my body eased, and I drifted off to sleep. When I woke up, Jihoon was still asleep, his breathing even, his hair messy in a way that made him look impossibly soft. I sat up slowly, feeling slightly dizzy. The medicine his mom had given me earlier must have been stronger than I thought. My throat was dry, so I got up to grab some water from the kitchen. When I came back, the quiet pressed down heavier than before. Sleep wouldn't come, no matter how hard I tried. My mind was buzzing, my chest restless. So against my better judgment, I started looking around, quietly, carefully. His desk was neat, his books stacked perfectly, but it was the dresser that caught my attention. Something about the half-open drawer made me curious. I crouched down and saw a sketchpad tucked in the back, different from the one I'd dragged from him at the library a few days ago. I hesitated, then curiosity won. When I opened it, my breath caught. Every page was me. Me laughing, me scowling, me sleeping during class, me playing basketball, even a half-finished sketch of me at the library. I flipped page after page, heart thudding in disbelief and awe. Each drawing carried so much quiet emotion, admiration, frustration, maybe even affection. It hit me all at once. Jihoon liked me. For a long moment, I couldn't move. My fingers lingered on one of the sketches, a soft pencil outline of me smiling, something I didn't even remember doing. He'd seen me like that when I wasn't even aware of it. A slow, helpless smile spread across my face. I glanced over at the bed. He was still fast asleep, his lips slightly parted, his face calm and beautiful in the moonlight. I whispered, barely audible, "You're really something, Jihoon." The truth was out now, even if only to me. And as I stood there watching him sleep, one thought kept repeating in my mind. He's not my rival anymore. He's the person my heart's been waiting to see all along.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more unique stories.